from a very young age, from that time when I was 2 years. I'm leaning towards her to hold me, she can't. And that's when I looked at all the photos from even high school. Her hand would just be like, don't touch me. When I would go back to our home, that's when now she started telling me about how she wanted to abort me. She didn't want me. Rejection is very painful. So when I was 10 years, I decided to write my letter. And then I explained that it's my mom who made me do it.
Growing up, we all expect to get unconditional love from our parents. But what happens when that is not the case? Now today we are joined by one Elizabeth Mwihaki who went through rejection right from the young age. And today she's here to tell us that what was meant to destroy her did not. Karibu sana to the show.
Asante, Yvonne.
Elizabeth, tuambie, how would you describe yourself and where do you come from?
Okay, my name is Elizabeth. Yeah, I'm a mother, I'm a wife, and I'm an entrepreneur. Yeah, so my genesis, I was born in Thika.
Okay.
And I grew up I started my life in a village called Kairi. And then my mom relocated to a place called Banana. And that is where I spent majority of my childhood. Yeah.
Hapo Banana, how was life? How would you describe that life growing up in Banana?
Okay, so in 1992, when I was 2 years old, my mom was given a house by the father in Banana. And so she took me and we started living with her. And that is where now my journey in feeling the rejection, feeling the abandonment started.
When you're saying you started living with her, where were you living before you started living with your mom?
I was living in my grandmother and grandfather's home. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So when you say that rejection started there, explain how that happened.
Okay, now being a 2-year-old, I was very much dependent on a parent. And so my mom was not there most of the time, especially at night. That's when now she hired house helps to take care of me. And then I would get house helps that were not really concerned. I think being a 2-year-old, what would I tell my mom? If the house help just disappeared at night, how would I even explain to her? Yeah, so I remember instances where I would wake up at night and find myself alone. And then as a young child, I'll just go out in the night looking for my house help. And then maybe sometimes find them somewhere smoking. Yeah, so it was, I really felt that abandonment as a child at that young age. Yeah.
Did you ever try to reach out to anyone, maybe your mom's friends, neighbors, to try and bridge? Maybe as a 2-year-old, you probably did not know that there was any other way out of this. How did you handle it? Okay,
I think there's a grandmother of mine, distant, who I think she told my grandmother, now my paternal grandmother, about my case, because sometimes I would sleep at her house, and I was also schooling in her school. So I think she would see the abandonment, and I think she saw it would affect me. And she talked to my grandmother, and she was merciful enough to take me back to Kairi. Yeah, so I spent with my mom for 2 years in Banana, 1992, 1993. Then when I went to class 1, I went back now to Kairi and started my primary education there. So
you stayed with your grandma. Was life better now with someone who's constantly present in your life?
Yeah, no. In my grandmother's house, the people are many, so there's always people to talk to. So it's a different life from in Banana, where there's nobody to talk to. Like you wake up in the night and you find yourself all alone. Yeah, so it was a better environment because as a human being you want company. Yeah, so there were so many people, my aunties, my uncle. So we used to go to school together with my uncle and my auntie, two of them. So it was a better life for me. When I look at in terms of relationship, I was able to relate with people, have people I can talk to about anything. Yeah, it was better.
Okay.
Yeah.
Did you ever feel the need to now maybe to open up to someone about how you feel towards, you know, the relationship between you and your mom? Did you ever disclose that?
So for those now 3 years now I spent again with my grandmother, 19 in class 1, class 2, class 3. And those years, I just remember just playing. It was a better life. It was a better life. There was no hunger. I didn't feel any abandonment or rejection at that time. And then, but now when my mother looked at it, she saw I was lacking. For her, she saw lacking better education. I was in a public school. Now she wanted to take me to a boarding school where I would get better education according to how she saw it. Now, in the village, being that we are many, definitely there were some things that were lacking. Like I was still young and I would not be able to take care of myself, the personal hygiene well. Yeah. So according to my mom, like she saw my teeth are becoming not good. So for her, she felt I'm not being well taken care of in the village, and she had money, so she now thought of taking me back. In class 3, I came back now to Banana to stay with her again, and I was taken to a private school, so I would be well educated to be able now to go to the boarding school she had desired to go when she was small. Yeah, so when I went to boarding school in class 4, at first it was tough. Now you are now like no grandmother, no mother, no relatives, nobody. You're just like children who now you feel the gap is even now bigger. Like this parent or grandmother, they're so far away. And I was just 7.5 years. Yeah, so it was tough. It was tough, and then it was a Catholic school, so they were really tough on discipline. So you do a small mistake, we are caned by, we were being caned by a bicycle, the tires of bicycles. So it was a tough upbringing in boarding school, and you don't have now a mother to cry to. You don't have anybody to fight for you, anybody to talk to. You are just all students, same level, very young, with no parents around. So it was tough, but for me at that time, I came to see it as a necessary evil, because now in boarding, yes, you're going to be beaten and all, but you get food and you get the education, and now you get to this, you get not to have very close relationships, because now these people, you are with them, the students, you are with them 24/7. So you have to find friends who you now relate with, and you understand you are coming all from a place where the parent, you feel the parent does not have that ample time to give you, and they prefer you go and study in a boarding school.
Okay.
Yeah.
We saw a picture of you in primary school, you and your mom. She would often come and visit you. Yeah. Did you bond at that point? How was that for you, that experience for you?
No, as a child, I was more impressed in getting the yogurt, the cakes. Now, for relationships, I knew there was none. Like, it was always about, why didn't you perform better than her? It was all about comparison. So it was mostly about get the best grades. Like, it's not relationship, how have you been, how are your friends? It was always like, you have to be the best. Yeah, so it was more of when she comes to be criticized, why didn't you? I was never the number 1, I was always number 2. So it was always like, it was very tough. And here the sisters, we had sisters who were Kenyans, the head teacher on the primary side, They were very tough. They were very tough.
Okay.
Yeah, but it was better in terms of security. I'm in a place, an enclosed place, and like in Banana where thieves would come in the night and mom is not there. So there's security there, but there's still that the pressure is on education and performing better than everyone else. Yeah,
And
regardless of your mental health.
At that point, you were beginning to feel the pressure on your mental health.
Yeah, no, at that time, now when I would go back to our home, that's when now she started telling me about how she wanted to abort me, she didn't want me. Then she just always criticize me.
Is it something that maybe you are having a situation where you are having a conversation, then she arrives at that conclusion? Or is it something she said out of anger? Make us understand how that happened.
For me, I think she just wanted me to know my story in fullness. Yeah, so now she'd tell me how she wanted to abort me, but somebody talked her out of it. And when she decided to keep me after she gave birth to me, she still had that feeling of I don't want this child. And so she'd tell me the whole story, like without any hiding anything. She'd tell me how she told my grandmother if she was tired of me, she can throw me at the shambas there. Yeah, and so she'd tell me everything, and for me, my reaction would just be to cry. I'll just cry it out. She'll just continue doing it.
So
and
she did not say
always
it once?
comparing me. No. It has been repeated. Yeah, so that's like being stabbed by your own mom, but it's a stab that nobody can see. Yeah. At
that point, she's telling you these things. Is she maybe explaining, but I love you now that you're here? Did you ever feel that she does not regret having you now?
No, it was just a matter of me now living the life, like a second life of hers. Like go to the school she wanted to go when she was growing up, that is Kalimoni. Go to the high school she wanted to go. Then join the corporate world. Now she wanted me to live like she was not able to live that life, but now she wanted me to live that life, the life she would have wanted but could not follow. Yeah.
How did this affect you, the confession that she made to you, that she wanted to get rid of you when you were in her belly?
I could feel the rejection is very painful. So when I was 10 years, I decided to write my letter. And then I explained that it's my mom who made me do it. Yeah, but one thing happened. I don't know what happened. I usually watched comedies. So maybe in the laughter you just heal and let it slide. Yeah, but I knew even if I went through that, she would not be remorseful. She would just say, I wanted her gone and she's gone. So it should have been better for her. She will be able to live her life without the constantly knowing there's a child to feed and all. Yeah.
Did anyone else maybe add weight to the stories that she was telling you? Did anyone else tell you that they know she really wanted to get rid of you and someone talked her out of it, other than just her?
No, it was just her. Yeah. And then I never talked about it with my grandmother or my grandfather. So I never got to know like other things until recently, when I was told even breastfeeding me was an issue. And so there's a grandmother who told me she really prayed because my mom didn't want to breastfeed me. She didn't want to clean my dirty clothes. There was just like, I don't want this child. So she prayed. So I used at that time when I was growing up, I used to breastfeed on my mom and my auntie.
So this is your mom's sister?
Yeah, my mom's sister. Yeah, so lucky for me, there was another auntie I could feed on at that time when I could not eat anything. Yeah. Yeah, so knowing all that, You just know, like, this woman does not want me here. But she's still feeding you. But now I used to see it as she's just sadistic. Like, she wants to feed on my tears. When I cry, she feels better.
Did you actually see it? Like, when you cry, you would see the look on her face that this is what I want to see?
No, but I would say, like, the way she's so persistent with it, it became like a habit. And so you're like, now you come to learn of the term sadistic, and you realize, okay, she needs to do this to feel better, or for whatever reason.
At what point did it become worse? What would you describe as your worst experience growing up with this kind of a mom?
Okay, no, mentally, no, when I was 12 years, I was now going to Form 1. And throughout primary school, I would ask my mom, which work, like, where do you go to work? And so one day she took me to Hilton Hotel and told me I work here. So I used to tell my friends, oh, my mom is a hotelier. She works in Hilton Hotel. And even my grandmother would ask me, where does your mom work? I would tell her, at Hilton Hotel. So she managed to build a good home, a better home, where now we were supposed to move in when I was going to Form 1. So when we were moving the things, I found a letter. And in the letter, there was a man who was just proposing to her. It was like a proposal, telling her she would really want to marry her, even though she did it for money. He loved my mom. And that's when I realized, okay, so I feed on this trade. My school fees is being catered by this trade. And then being a Christian, and we had studied CRE, read the Bible, I was going to church every Sunday. I was like, no, this is very wrong. Not just she didn't want me, but she's practicing something which we can't even talk about it.
Yeah.
And so I carried that secret, which I thought was a secret to me. I carried it throughout high school. So I started having headaches every day. And when I started having headaches, I couldn't tell anybody what the real issue was. And so one of my auntie used to tell me I should go to hospital and check, maybe I have like a tumor or something, because it was so constant. But not knowing, I was carrying this heavy burden. Yeah. And then now, knowing what she was doing, now I got to understand why. Like, every night she was not there. And so you get to understand and now start praying for her. But I didn't pray for me to be removed from that situation. I used to pray for her to be removed from that situation. I would ask God, give her a better job. Just let her be able to get out of this job. Yeah. And I didn't tell anybody. But I came to learn my grandparents knew. I think it was just maybe polite not to tell the child. Yeah. Yeah. So during that time in high school, I was just telling myself, I wish I can be adopted by somebody, because I'd seen so many movies, and I would see people getting adopted. I would just imagine me getting adopted. And then I had a friend in high school. We were very close, and she was just in a nearby village. So she used to come to my home. And my mom didn't like her totally. She didn't want me to have friends. So she didn't want me to have a relationship with her. And she does not want me to have a relationship with anybody. Whether it's a girlfriend, a boyfriend, she was against me to have any relationship. So one day she told me, it's either I quit that relationship, or I leave her. I quit, or I leave her house. And so maybe I thought, now I'm going to go to live with that friend of mine, the mother to pay my school fees or the father. I chose to lie to her and tell her I had broken up with that girl. And when I told her that I was in school, we had a booth, a phone booth, I would call her. I told her we have broken up. She came with a huge shopping. Huge shopping, like it's payment for me stopping the relationship, which was a lie. But you can see, like, she wanted me not to have any relationship at all. Yeah, so it was a very sad state, and actually I just thought of being adopted, but that opportunity came to get out of a house, but I didn't take it. Yeah, because now I'd feel if my grandparents would leave me and send me back to my mom, and they were able and they had jobs, how will I take myself to go to another family and I am in school? No, by then you know the need of money. So I just decided to stay with her, and just pretend I was not friends with that lady again. Yeah.
At that point when you saw that letter, do you think that letter was from your dad? Because at some point you met your biological dad.
No, it was not. So growing up, my mom used to tell me my dad is a guy called Masharia. Throughout, she would say, oh, Masharia refused to pay your school fees. Oh, we met, he said I asked him if he's going to pay in university. Yeah, so last year, that's when I decided to go look for Masharia. And as it went, he was not my dad.
How did you find out all this? Take us through the process of finding your dad.
2022, I had come to the realization that after watching so many therapists, I'd come to the realization that my mom will never change, and the only way out of that toxic relationship was to cut it. And so I decided to make it public that I was going no contact with her. I would never communicate with her again. And my daughter, I have a daughter who I've named after my mom. She's called Jerry. And my daughter she's very relational. She loves people a lot. She's very loving. And so when last year, January, she just started to ask for her grandmother. And I looked at the situation, and so I didn't want to go back to my mom. I didn't want her to have any relationships with my daughters too, being that if I cut her, I mean I've cut out of my life and my daughters' lives. So I thought of a better way was just to go find my father, and on that side she'll get other grandparents and grandmothers who she was really crying out for. Yeah, and so through Facebook I got to learn of the whereabouts of Masharia and Nyeri, and we went, and I found a very loving family. And the Masharia, he said he does not remember me, nor my mom, and so that's when we decided to do a DNA test. And from the DNA test, it came out negative. He was not my dad. But we had already formed a relationship with the family, which I found the one that hosted me throughout when I was doing the search. And they told me the doors are open, whether it's negative, positive, the doors are always open. And so after the results, I took my daughters there, and my daughter she saw so many grandmothers. Till date, she has never cried again asking for a grandmother. Yeah, so it was very fulfilling for them. Yeah.
At what point, you said that it reached a point where you decided to cut ties with your mom. What happened that led to that?
So when I got my third born, I didn't tell her about, even when I was going to the hospital, I didn't tell her about it. and one of my aunties told her that I have given birth. So she called me, she was like, oh, and I've been told you have a son. It was like, yeah. And being that we are still in communication, when my son was 1 month old, I decided to go surprise her and take the baby to her for her to see. So it was on Christmas, the year 2021. I took my baby, 2020, not 2021, 2020. I took my baby, we surprised her. But the surprise ended up being a regret to me.
What happened?
When I was there, she now started, it was just doing the same thing she was doing all through the years. She told me how I had killed her, like I had killed her, and she's still alive. She suffered a stroke when she was 40 years. And when she suffered that stroke, she has never recovered to date. This will be the 15th year when August comes. She never recovered. So for her, because we were in the same house, she puts the blame like we didn't take her, me and my late aunt, that we didn't take her to the best hospitals. So for her, she's like, we neglected her. We are the cause as to why the stroke has never healed, and she has never been able to walk again. So she was like, oh, you killed, like I killed half of her, me and my late aunt. So going back, you're going like, this person is like calling you a murderer, and they're the same person who always tells you they wish they aborted you. No, they're like, what they wanted to do to you, and they're telling you you have done to them. Like you have killed them, and they're still alive. So I called that friend of mine who were friends from high school. Told her I just wish I never went there. And with time, I found out I had high blood pressure after that experience. And my mom had kept on calling me in the year 2020 and before. She used to call me and tell me, check your high blood pressure.
What?
And like inside I would say, like, return to sender. And so when it happened, like 1 month, 2 months, 3 months, my pressure is still up there. I didn't tell anybody, but I just made a public announcement. I had gained a lot of weight, and I just made a public announcement. People to pray for me. I want a flat tummy. Some people maybe prayed, but it did work, because within no time I lost some weight and the pressure was back to normal. But being that she suffered the stroke from high blood pressure, and my grandmother is late, and when she died, the doctor said that the high blood pressure is a silent killer. She had it. So wishing me, keep on telling me to check my pressure, like she wants me to go on the same line. It was very sad, and I overcame it. After I overcame, that's when I shared my story. I told my husband I had pressure, but it's gone. And I even told her too I had pressure, but it's gone. But you see, after visiting her, that's when that problem came. I was like, this relationship will only end with a premature death. I saw it as the only way to end. So the best thing was to cut contact, and I live my life with my 3 kids and my husband. And I just accept that relationship is not good. It only wants premature death. Yeah, and that's when I stopped communicating with her. Her sisters were very angry with me, and that's the same time I said to the world that my mom was my abuser. And then I shared that TikTok video when I'd taken a picture with a gown, and I wanted to do a challenge of glow up, a glow up challenge. And then when I took my album, which has our old photos, I came to see, I wanted a picture when I was a child, then do the glow up.
Yeah.
I found our pictures, like my mom never held my hand. From a very young age, from that time when I was 2 years, like I'm leaning towards her to hold me, she can't. And that's when I looked at all the photos from even high school. Her hand would just be like, don't touch me.
No.
So that's when I realized, okay, the body language, that one you can't hide. This person does not want to. They just wish they would not be there even in that time, but they have to be there because they still want you as a plan B for their life. Yeah, not being that my mom was in that industry and you can't do it forever. I was now her plan B. Yeah, so I get good grades, get a good job, get a good salary, fund our life. Yeah.
What's the thing that made you decide to go public with this, and what was her reaction towards you telling the world that your relationship with your mom is strained?
I wanted to make it public, so I would also be accountable. If I ever have to talk to her, I have to remember I made a public statement. Yeah, because the first time I blocked her, I didn't make it public and I didn't tell anybody, and so she went through my aunt who talked to me and made me unblock her. At that time when I had first blocked her, she wanted to commit suicide. Yeah, and she had said she's going to commit suicide by not eating. She would starve to death. And I had gone to the internet and found that actually people do that. People who are terminally ill, they do that. They decide they don't want to live and they won't eat. So I even researched and found that it takes a whole month plus for that now you can pass on.
Yeah.
When she decided to do that, I told my husband and we went to visit her. And when we were going, my husband bought ungas, bananas, and was like, this person has said she wants to die and you're buying food. And he was like, I'm just going to buy. And so the people from church came, they talked to her and she changed her mind. And before we left, she was eating those bananas. And then I saw, okay, that time I was pregnant with my third child. I was like, this person wants to stress me. Because how can you be planning your suicide while I'm pregnant with a child? Like, you should make my life simpler. Yeah, we should not be burying you while I'm pregnant. So that's when I decided to block her for the first time, but it didn't work. After my aunt called me, I unblocked her, and the abusive relationship went on. Because it was telling me she was to commit suicide. It's like, it's not a good way of asking for help. Just tell somebody I need this. Don't tell them I'm going to kill myself just for attention. It's very wrong. It's very wrong. Mentally, it affects that person. Yeah.
What's the one thing that you still remember to date that she has ever told you? What's the most hurtful thing she said to you?
Okay. On last year, when I decided I was about to, it was on a Saturday, then I was going to go on Monday to take my DNA results with the Masharia. I was in a church conference and I thought I had forgiven her. And then the words came to my mind. I remembered when she called me a chokora. And that time I was already married, I had one child. I'd gone to visit her. I still kept on going back. Even when I left her house, I'd said I'll never go back. But you still find yourself as a child, you just want to go to your mom, regardless, you forget who she is. And so I went back, and when I went to visit her, when I went back home to my husband's house, she texted me and told me, if you ever come back here again looking like a chokora, I'll chase you away. And so like, she called me a chokora, and I was like, okay. I was very hurt, and being that I've never made so many friends, I didn't tell anybody about it. And then these women from church who came to visit me one day, many women, I really broke down because like my mom is telling me she's going to chase me away if I go back looking how I was looking. But these are women who have come all the way from their houses to come and visit me. I really broke down. And so that word came up when I was in that church conference, and I was like, okay, maybe I've never healed on that, her calling me a chokora. And so I went and sought prayer about it. And I was told I have so much pain in my heart that I need to release for God to do whatever He needs to do in my life.
Yeah.
And so that day I decided to look at her differently and see her like somebody who does not know me. She does not know who I am. If she can look at me and say, I'm a chokora, and she's the one who gave birth to me. So I decided to take it like she does not know me. And so I should not hold her like highly. Let me treat her as a stranger who does not know me, and not to hold any guilt or hold her in liable to whatever she says about me. And so that day I decided to say I've forgiven her, and the same way you'd not react when a stranger calls you a dog because they don't know who you are.
Yeah.
I should not react when she tells me negative things. And so I decided to forgive her that day. But I think that word, chokora, that one was very hurtful.
The most hurtful thing.
It was there, yeah.
How is your relationship with your mom now?
Right now, so last year, date 7th July, which it's marked as the World Forgiveness Day. I called her and told her I have not blocked her. She can call me anytime. And I made that decision after a church service on a Thursday. It was on a Friday when I called her. So I think I wanted a different world. I was just tired of that world where I'm not talking to my mom. I'm not in contact with her. So that night I just cried out and was like, I want a different world.
Yeah.
I was singing to this Aladdin song, a whole new world. Yeah, a different kind of life. And so I called her on 7th and told her, if you need me, you can call me. Yeah. So we are now in communication. Yeah, she can call me anytime. And I will pick.
And how do you think she feels about you sharing that bit of your story growing up and her not being present in your life? How do you think she feels about this? Because you also went public on it on TikTok, and I'm sure she knows this is public already.
After I went public, we were not in communication.
Oh, okay.
So the sisters are the ones who were writing SMSs, telling me I've embarrassed them. Yeah, I've embarrassed the family for speaking my truth.
And your mom never told you anything, even after you went back to communicating with her?
We have never discussed it. No, all I know is the parts she was being told, which they would exaggerate and say things I didn't say. Yeah, but right now I can't visit my mom. Yeah, I was told never to go back to that village where she stays by their sisters. Yeah, so I'm not invited there for anything, any celebrations. Yeah, we stay as strangers with my aunties, but my mom, we can communicate on phone.
Did you ever talk to her about, Mom, why did you do this? Mom, can we try and forge a better relationship going forward? How are things? Did you ever revisit that conversation with your mom to try and mend fences?
Whenever I would think about approaching the heart, I used to just feel like I need to tell her I forgive her. Yeah, and so one time I wrote an SMS, I told her I forgive her. She reacted negatively. she was so angry. I was called by one of my aunts and she asked me, what did you do to your mom? She's so angry. Yeah. So she has never like accepted it was wrong, anything she did. Yeah. She has never taken or said sorry. Yeah, for her, she didn't do anything wrong.
Of course, there are people who will watch your story today and tell you that your mom carried you for 9 months. You have no right to feel the way you felt, even though she abandoned you when you were a child. What is the one thing you would tell these people who probably will show up with that, mama ni mama, mzazi ni mzazi? What would you say to that?
I think there should be more education on what a parent is. Like people think a parent is just somebody who pays school fees, feeds the child. There's another part which is not taken care of, the relationship part.
Yeah.
This child needs you to be there for them. They need love, that unconditional love you are saying. That in times of trouble, the parent should be the first person the child will look for.
Yeah.
For help. They should not be the last person or the person they're like, I can never tell my mom this, or I can never tell my dad this. In trouble, a parent is needed. Now for me, I would say people should learn, and if you can't be there for a person unconditionally and give them your whole heart. I don't want, as a child, you want the whole heart of the mother to be on your side. If you can't be on that side, if you can't be there fully for a person, don't have a child. Yeah, just be selfish and seek your own gains, but don't let a child inside that life. Yeah.
For someone who's currently going through maybe a strained relationship with their parents, what is the one message you would tell them?
Okay, I believe there are situations where reconciliation and mediations and relationships can be mended.
Yeah.
But you have to look at the red flags. Now, for my case, the last time I saw my mom, she was still in the same position. She told me she even regrets taking me to school. So there are situations where you have to realize that it will never work out. It will never work out. You have to create those boundaries and create those walls to protect yourself, to protect your sanity, because some relationships at a certain stage, they have to end. And for me, I look at my mom like, God could not drop me up from heaven and just throw me, and then in somebody to just pick me up.
Yeah.
He needed a human who would give birth to me. And for his reasons, he decided it was my mom. But through it all, he was there, making sure I'm surviving.
Yeah.
Even if it was what I would say torturing, mentally torturing, but he was still there in the room. When I was in my grandmother's house, God was there.
Yeah.
When I was with my mom in Banana, God was there. When I was in boarding school, God was there. God will never leave us, nor forsake us anytime. Even if you are born by a drug addict, God is still there.
Yeah.
God is still there. So for me, my faith has really helped me. And God has always been there. So even when I was growing up, what really gave me hope, I was watching family TV. And I would see these pastors would speak about God. So anytime I was down, I would just switch on the TV and I would be encouraged by a word from Joel Austin. I would be encouraged by a word from Joyce Meyer. Yeah, so God is there always, and He will use whatever tool or whichever person to keep you strong in the journey.
Because of your past experiences, how they've affected you, how are you showing up in your children's lives? Does that influence how you show up as a mother in your children's lives?
Yeah, because I felt the neglect when I was very young, like months old. For all my kids, I have 3 kids. All my kids, the first 2 for 6 months, I was with them throughout, no work, just in the house. My third born, I didn't leave the house for 8 months. So I've made sure in their youngest age, they have seen their mom. Yeah.
For you, it's intentional. It's something you actually decide, this is what I'm going to do.
Yeah.
So that your kids don't feel.
Yeah. And I breastfed all my 3 kids for 2 years, 2 years plus, all of them. So whatever I told my daughter, I was rejected so that you will not be rejected. Yeah, because she learned on the case where I was told never to go back to Kairi. 11th December last year, I called my uncle. And he told me, oh, we have a celebration here, Kesho, are you coming? And I told him, you have not heard the news, I was told never to come back there. And then he called my aunt, and my aunt told him, not welcome. And so we were with my daughter, she was like, Mom.
It's a lot.
And so I told her, I was rejected, so we'll never face the same rejection. Yeah.
There's something you had mentioned that your aunt told you when you were hopeful, you were trying to find your mom help so that maybe she can change her attitude towards you and maybe you can try and make the relationship better. Take us through that.
Okay, when my mom suffered a stroke and she was admitted in the hospital, Tegoni, I thought that if she would talk to a counselor, maybe she would change and they should be able to talk out her issues and change. And so I met one of my aunties and I told her about my plan for my mom to speak to a counselor. And she told me, your mama, you'll never change. And it broke me. I really cried. I could not understand.
Yeah. Did she explain why?
No, she told me that my mom was always abusive since when she was small. Yeah, so verbally insulting people. And so also some of my grandparents who are alive, they tell me, you don't even know your mom. They know her from when she was a teenager. So they really know. When I tell, at that time when there was no contact, when we would tell them I'm not talking to my mom, they tell me that's the best thing you can do, silence.
Right now, because she'll get to see this video, you're opening up about your past, some pleasant things she did, take you through school and showed up in your life where she could, but also some unpleasant things that happened between the two of you. What is the one message you have for your mom in case she comes by this interview?
Okay. I will tell her, Mom, I wish our relationship was better, but I accept that we don't choose our life. God chooses who gives birth to us. I have no say. I had no say. I found myself with you. I was hurt by you, and I need to heal from you, and so boundaries are very important. Yeah.
Anything else you want to tell her? Do you forgive her?
Yeah, she knows she's forgiven. I wish her the best of life. I wish her health. She knows I wish her long life. Yeah, live 50 more years plus. Yeah.
Have you ever said, I love you to your mom? And can you ever say that?
I think I've said, but sometimes I would say we'd be faking because there's no love between us. Yeah.
Wow.
It's just I'm just a person who survived her. Yeah.
Okay. What do you do now with your life? How do you put food on the table, and how can people support you in what you do?
Okay, as I said, I'm an entrepreneur. I have a display business. I sell mannequins, hangers, and also engage in selling of clothes in wholesale. Yeah, I have a shop location at Tusk's Magic.
Okay.
Yeah, first floor, BM50, Wing B. Yeah, and people can reach out and support my business. If you are a clothing trader, do that display solutions with me.
Okay, and how can they reach you?
Okay, my number is 0710 639 533. On Facebook, you can find me at Elizabeth Wadamis. Even on Instagram and TikTok, Elizabeth Wadamis. Yeah.
And there is where you also share parts of your stories and your experiences through life as you navigate.
Yeah, I share my personal story and also my business posts on the same pages. Yeah.
Are people who are going through maybe similar experiences that you went through growing up allowed to contact you on the same thing?
Yeah. People are allowed to inbox me. Yeah, and having a friend to talk to and somebody who has gone through the same, it's very good. Yeah. So I encourage people to reach out, to talk about it. Talking is healing. Yeah.
All right. Thank you so much, Elizabeth, for agreeing to come here on our show and sharing your story with us. And, inspiring other people who probably might have gone through similar experiences and they do not know how to overcome it. You did overcome it and you're showing them it's possible to do this. So we appreciate you for this.
Thank you, Yvonne.
Okay, you're welcome. Tuko family, you have heard a story of a child who has faced rejection right from the onset when they were young. But here they are here to tell us that no matter what happens when you're a child and you miss the things that you need, that should not define your future. You can actually overcome it and become someone who portrays a positive image of a family that is accepting and loving. Thank you so much for staying with us. Till the end of the show, my name is Yvonne Kawira. Till next time, keep it Tuko.